a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back. What's going on, y'all? What's going on, man? Welcome to another edition of the 50 and 50 show. You know what I'm saying? Myself, PharoahNFL, and as you can see, my guy, Severe Raider. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe, man. We appreciate everybody's patience. Man, you know, at this point, man, y'all, I wouldn't be mad if y'all expect this at this point. We're always running late, but we'll get our act together. You know what I mean? But we got a lot to talk about. That's not going to change. We still going to be here every Monday. I think at this point we the late night crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Late night crew.
Yeah, exactly.
We trying to get to that evening, but you know, late night. We gonna stick to that late night time. But yeah, like,
for now.
But yeah, like I said, we appreciate everybody coming through. We appreciate everybody's patience. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that notification bell. You know, should I give them the friendly reminder? Because sometimes people,
bro, you already know what you got to do, bro.
Like, what is the like button? I don't know what that. What are you talking about? I don't. As you can see on the screen, it's this. It's like in the shape of a thumb. Yeah, like, you know. But yeah, man. Hey, we had to witness. Well, you know, me and Severe, you know what I mean? Like, we kind of paid attention. We were watching the game. We were in it. But that disgusting
What
matchup,
game?
Yeah, what game?
There was a game yesterday? That's a game yesterday?
I heard it was two disgusting teams that I really don't like. The 49ers and Chiefs played yesterday. But yeah, we'll talk about that as well, man. Let's get to the chat. Let's get to the people, man. My guy Raider Room is here early. He says, "Guess I'm early." Salute panel and future chat. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you pulling up. Make sure to check out his IG, man. One of my favorite IGs out there for Raider news and rumors. And Jay and Calindo, man, bro, why you change the time like 3 times, man? Hey, man, for you to pay attention, that tells me a lot, man. So I appreciate you, man. Hey, my bad. We are here. We are here with the people. We're here with the nation, man. So I'm glad you were able to make it, man. We appreciate your patience. One of my favorite mods out there, man, Daniel Kim. He says, "Salute, Pharaoh. Salute, Severe. Appreciate you coming through."
Salute.
Man. JR Raider Nation says, "F them picks. Let's get our QB of the future." Man, we'll talk about that, man. We'll definitely talk about that. And UC the King says, for Higgledale.
For Shigadale.
For Shigadale.
For Shigadale.
Okay.
Is that some E40? That's some E40 stuff right there. For Shigadale.
You said it smoothly, so I thought it was some SoCal. You know what I mean?
Nah,
I don't know.
That sounds like some
lingo.
stuff.
But he says, "Here for the late night, Silver and Black." Man, appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you coming through. We got Raider Allegiance, man, in the building. Salute to all the Raiders, man. Yeah, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to my guy, Raider Allegiance. He's another Raider content creator holding it down. Make sure to subscribe. And Sean Schefter Johnson. Salute, Pharaoh and Severe. Sound like Mark, AP, and Tom Telesco want to move up for a QB. Jaden Daniels, maybe? Hey, man, it's a possibility. It's a possibility for sure, but let's actually get into, man, like what happened yesterday, man. We got to talk about it. This, it's officially off season. The Raiders off season started like when the season ended, if you want to be real.
Yeah.
But the official NFL off season is underway after the Raiders, after the Super Bowl was completed yesterday with the Chiefs winning. You know what I mean? Man, we got to talk about it. Man. But it is what it is. But let's get into it. Let's see. Let me get my act together over here. The Super Bowl reaction, man. Super Bowl, 49ers and Chiefs. What were your thoughts, man, on the Chiefs winning? Did you think that they were going to win that game against the 49ers?
Yeah, man. I thought they were. I think even in our pre-prediction show, well, not a prediction show, but our pre-show when we were talking about who we rather see win, I kind of chose the Chiefs. I mean, as much as I don't like the guy, man, Patrick Mahomes is probably the best quarterback I've ever seen play the game. He's one of the best players I've ever seen play the game, and it's just you can't bet against that dude, man. You can't bet against that dude, man. And it's a team he had already beat. Well, he had already seen this team, a similar team to this team before, and he beat them before, even though he had less talent this time on his team. He's just him and Andy Reid are a lethal combination, man. When you get a coach that good and a quarterback that good, you can't count them out of any situation, man. Basically, the whole team had been there before. They just won last year, essentially, and it was almost a foregone conclusion, man. Almost a foregone conclusion. I will say that the 49er fans that I know, oh my God, the tears were glorious. They were glorious.
Yeah, it's like all over social media, man. Is this a thing though, man? Like fans after their team lose are gonna break their TV? At this point, I think it's fake. I gotta believe it's fake, because I seen one where they said supposedly this guy lost $20K and he like breaks the TV. It's a 49er fan. He breaks the TV after Mahomes gets the game-winning touchdown. But after he breaks the TV, some girl comes out of nowhere and then she sprays the TV and starts wiping it. I'm like,
oh yeah, I think you sent me that. I think you sent me that. You sent me that, man.
Yeah, that got to be fake. That got to be fake. I feel like
that got to be.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe with the internet sometimes. You know what I mean? Like there's so much stuff out here. Like people be doing all types of things for views and clicks, so it's kind of hard to believe what's out there. But as far as Super Bowl, man, at the end of the day, man, like the best coach and quarterback won. This is the bottom line, man. At the end of the day, like I think that's the biggest issue here. I or not the issue, but the like at the end of the day, like Andy Reid, Mahomes, they're the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady of today's game. And you can argue that the 49ers might be the Bills of the 90s of today's game. You know what I mean? They're that close, but they're always in the Super Bowl, but they for some reason they can't get over the hump. And it's not for some reason. They just are facing teams that are better. And I think we can talk about this. We could talk about like Shanahan as well. Well, a lot of people, he's under fire because people are saying like, man, is this the guy that can get the 49ers over the hump? You know, he's choking and this, that, and the third. But I'm like, hey, man, like he doesn't have a legit, quarterback. Like, I mean, Purdy. He didn't play bad yesterday. I don't think he played terrible. But at the end of the day, like Purdy is Purdy. He's a 7th round pick. He's doing what he can. I mean, the roster is talented. Obviously, it's you can argue that it's a better roster than what the Chiefs had. But at the end of the day, the most important position.
Yeah.
If you look around the league, where will you put Purdy at that quarterback position? Is he in the top 10? Is he top 15?
I mean, according to Dan Orlovsky, he is in the top 10. I wouldn't put him in the top 10. I think he's being carried by that roster. So I think if you put Purdy on the Chiefs or put him on the Raiders, he's a mid quarterback. He's, in the 15 to 20 range, maybe 12 to 15. But, just you think about it like this, right? And this is, I know we're going to get into this later, but this is the importance of the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. Think about the 49ers. The 49ers probably had the best pass rusher on the field, right? And Nick Bosa. Probably the second best defensive tackle when you look at Vernon Hargrave. They have George Kittle, who's top 3 tight end. They have top 5 or so receiver core. They have the best left tackle in the NFL. They had the guy who was the best running back last year in the NFL. They had all of these advantages. They have the best linebacker core in the NFL with the best linebacker in the NFL. Like all the advantages were on their side, and the better quarterback beat them, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why the quarterback position is so important. They didn't have a quarterback that can go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. The only guys that have beat him in the playoffs are Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. And those were guys that essentially had to outplay them. And Tom Brady had to get some help from the refs. We know he had that pass interference call, then it was D4 being offsides on that play. So he had to get some help. But the only 2 guys that beat him in the playoffs thus far are those 2 guys. He beat Josh Allen on the road. He beat the MVP Lamar Jackson on the road. Then he went, basically to what I hear was almost like a 49ers home game. It was like the 49ers greatly outnumbered the Chiefs fans in that stadium, and he beat Brock Purdy there. So it's like, man, you got to have a quarterback that can go toe to toe with this guy. So I think it's of the utmost importance that we get this.
Yeah, man. It is what it is, man. It just yesterday's game just proves that like that quarterback position is the most important position in football. Like it just confirms it. We've known it before that. It's the most important position in football. And I think for the 49ers, it's just for the 49ers, like they're gonna have to. The crazy thing is like they can't replace Shanahan. Like what is he doing wrong that he's not winning the big game? But literally, they're in overtime. Like they're in overtime. It's crazy, and football is a game of inches. Like one little play went that like for example, like it was. A lot of people are arguing that, he probably should have the player. We'll get into that. We'll actually get into this.
We'll get into that.
But let's get into the chat. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened, some of the storylines from yesterday's game. But man, salute to my guy Steve in the building. Appreciate you coming through.
Salute, Steve.
Let's see right here. Man, Raider Allegiance says that Super Bowl was like having heartburn and diarrhea at the same time. Damn, man. That's a crazy picture right there.
That is a very, very troubling picture, man.
You see the king. He says, yo, I believe after hearing Andy Reid and Kermit interviews, they really respect the Raiders. Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
you know,
they
but
better.
if you hear Kelsey ain't got no respect for sure. Because he was
Kelsey ain't got no respect for nobody. We're going to get into that too.
Yeah.
I mean, but like if you listen to a lot of what the Chiefs fans and Chiefs players were saying, or Chiefs brass in general was saying that you know, basically the stomping we gave them on Christmas Day, that was kind of like their wake up call to like, yo, you know, if we want to win, like we got to kind of hit a reset button, or we got to flip the switch, you know, and from that point on, you know, they pretty much were almost lights out, man. So no, they gave us a lot of credit, you know, for that wake up call that they got.
Yeah. Space Beast says he had no talent around him. I think he might be referring to. Are you referring to Mahomes?
I'm assuming he's talking about Mahomes. I think we're talking about Mahomes.
I mean, compared to other years, I don't think he has had, like, you know, the other years he had, you know, Tyreek Hill, the combination of Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, but now with the receivers, they don't have, it's not a lot of experience. Now, you know, definitely. I think this team is the different Chiefs team that we've seen in the past. Usually we've seen explosive offense. In this case, we've seen a team that's more of a ball control offense to go along with a pretty good defense. And they were able to get it done. Yeah, they were able to get it done. And in the end, when it was close, when I seen the game getting close, usually you usually want to go where the better quarterback is at, and that was Mahomes at the end of the day. So, hey, at the end of the day, I hate the Niners. I didn't want the Chiefs to win, man, because to have that on, like because the Chiefs are undefeated in Las Vegas, right? They haven't, or not. Yeah, Mahomes is undefeated in Las Vegas.
So.
That has to change next year. Antonio Pierce, if you watching this, man,
do something about it.
That got to be on a bulletin board. Like, the Chiefs can't come into the Raiders' house and win a game. Like, that cannot happen. Obviously, we went on the road, which is impressive, but like, we gotta protect home field. We gotta make that home field an advantage for the Raiders. Right now, it's not happening because, you know, for a lot of different reasons. You know, you might argue the Raiders haven't been winning. They're in a new market. You know, Vegas is a destination city, so you get all these fans. It's like, man. So
those ticket prices too, man,
them ticket prices crazy, man.
Wild, man.
How much is the Super Bowl, the tickets? I think it was like the cheapest ticket.
It's like 12,000.
Is that like the cheapest ticket?
I don't know if that was the cheapest, but I was seeing that was what people were paying, like 12,000.
Yeah.
That was like the average or so price for a ticket. It was 12,000.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So let's get into, man, I think this is Severe's favorite segment, man.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business. Personal foul.
He was giving him the business, man.
Giving him the business.
Flag on the play, man. If y'all don't know, this is where, we find out about, or we talk about things that we have kind of like caught our eye, that we're kind of like, what's going on? And in this case, we can actually go to a moment that happened in the Super Bowl yesterday. Kelsey was upset because he wasn't part of the play, and I'm gonna actually put it on the screen so everybody can see what I'm talking about. I'm sure everybody's seen it, but I'm like, what is going on, man? Like, if it was any other player, man, that player would get cut. This dude has the biggest pass in football. Let's take a look. All right, so I'm gonna let it play. This is
the fumble.
comes over to Andy. He goes, keep me in. What happened is, on the fumble, he was not in the game. Noah Gray went in, and he had to block the fumble. He comes over to Andy. He goes, keep me in. What happened is...
And in this part, like, Andy Reid tried to talk after the game and be like, oh, he just caught me by surprise. That's why, like, he tried to, wrap it up and make it seem like it was nothing. It wasn't a big deal. But do you think, I said it was the beginning of the end. I was hoping that they were going to lose, and I was going to just, you know what? Hey, Kelsey's going to be But they end up winning. They end up winning the game. And, obviously Andy Reid talked about it after the game and said it wasn't a big deal. But what did you think when you saw this? Like,
I saw it after the fact. Like I said, I was boycotting this game, man. So I didn't really watch the game. Yeah. But I saw it after the fact. It was all over the place, man. And it was just, I was surprised, but I wasn't too surprised. And I think I'm gonna give him a little bit of a pass on this one because that's competitive spirit right there. That's a passionate guy. I think this happened right after they had like fumbled on like when they were like driving for a touchdown. The touchdown they needed, and he wasn't in the game, and so the running back fumbles and to give the 49ers back the ball. So I can't get mad at them being upset about that. And it's like that time. It's not exactly the same, but it's just because he put his hands on his coach, which is like a big no-no. But remember when we tried to pull Max Crosby out the game and he refused to come out, so much so that we had to burn the timeout just to try to get him off the field. And I think we was all like, hey, you know what? Hey, that's Max. He's a warrior. He doesn't want to come out the field. But at the end of the day, like, that could legitimately hurt your team. They can cost your team a penalty, and it costs your team a timeout because they had to drag you off of the field, right? So by that same token, like I can't be like, oh, he's wrong for that, for wanting to be in there in a critical moment in the red zone when you're like the best red zone target on the team. I can't fault him for that.
Yeah. I thought like when he bumped into him, you could tell like, Reed almost like he was gonna fall. So I'm like, man, like imagine a player on, like on the Raiders or anybody like just going up to AP and doing that. AP is probably going.
AP gonna put hands on you, bro. AP gonna put hands on you.
Yeah.
AP from Compton, bro. AP gonna two-piece you.
Yeah, he's not gonna let that happen for sure. But yeah, man. Oh, I thought that was interesting. I thought flag on a play. I don't think a player should be doing this. Even a player as big as Kelsey going up to a guy like like Andy Reid, but I'm sure they have a good enough relationship there, like where this is just water under the bridge, like it's not a big deal. But for me, when I seen it, I'm like, man, like come on, like what's going on, man? This dude, I think all them Super Bowls. Sometimes ego is a real thing when all these they're winning all these games, these Super Bowls. Mahomes. Do you think Andy Reid is probably going to come back? Do you think he's going to walk away?
Come back.
You think he's going to walk away?
I think he'll come back. I think he'll come back, man.
We've seen head coaches walk away at the in the past. You know what I'm saying? So it could possibly happen.
Leave on top. I mean, I wouldn't. Only reason I don't think he'll walk away is because they have opportunity to three-peat, and I don't think that's ever been done in the Super Bowl era. So, you still got Patrick Mahomes coming back. I'm assuming you got Travis Kelsey coming back. You're gonna have to make a decision on L'Jarius Sneed or Chris Jones. You can probably franchise one of those guys, I'm sure. So I think he'll run a running back. I already heard that Patrick Mahomes is restructuring his contract, or they're in talks about him restructuring his contract to free up some cap space for them to be aggressive in free agency. So I definitely think he's coming back, man. And it's crazy, man. Like just watching that picture, like you should never put your hands on your coach, bro. Like you should never put your hands on your coach.
That's what I'm saying.
That's wild.
Yeah, but. They made it seem like it wasn't a big deal, so I guess it is what it is. But it's still a flag on a play. Still counts as flag on a play, man. My guy Nonfiction, the building man, appreciate you coming through. He says 2.5 million for a booth. So maybe 2 million to 2.5 for. So you mean like a suite? Like, God, whoo.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, man. I saw that picture of, I think, Floyd Mayweather and Johnny Dang. I think they had a suite. Yeah, they was kicking it at the Super Bowl, man. That's wild. That is
crazy.
wild.
That's like,
wild,
it's not that serious, man. You could just watch it at the
at
house.
all, bro.
You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Watch
Bro,
it at the house, man.
you can buy a house just to watch it in. Like,
Exactly. Arkham Raider says, it sickens me that the Chiefs won a ring in our house, but I'm confident Coach AP will use this to motivate our team next season. Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
I'm hoping too as well.
Facts.
And
Facts.
we got let's see here. We got people in the chat going crazy right now.
Yeah, bro. But I put like this, man. Like, as much as people hate the Chiefs winning in our stadium, how much of us are? I mean, how many? Like, I don't know any Chiefs fans really, right? I know like 2, and they both quiet as you know, as church mice. Right. All the 49ers fans, all the last 2 weeks, they've been woofing all the time. I'm getting random ass texts in the middle of the day. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Like, come on, bro. Like, I don't need to hear this nonsense. As soon as they lost, quiet.
It's bittersweet because, like, man, yeah, I hate the Niners. I living in the Bay, and I see people in the chat saying I lived in the Bay. Like, yeah, man, same here. So at the end of the day, like, I love that the Niners lost, but it's like the Chiefs win. They get a 4th Super Bowl as a franchise, which surpasses the Raiders. They got a 3rd. Yeah. Raiders have 3 Super Bowls. This is a team that we play twice a year. I hate the Chiefs, so you know what I mean. It's just, no matter what, it would have sucked. But it is what it is. Pizzy 4420 says, or Pizzle, my bad. He ain't Bill Walsh. He ain't Bill.
Nah, he's not.
He's not Bill Walsh. But hey, man, look, he's making a case. Hey, he's making a case. How many Super Bowls have Andy Reid been to? He's been with the Eagles.
5.
You know what I mean? And he's won 3 Super Bowls, and like right now, when's the last time we've seen a back-to-back Super Bowl champion? That hasn't happened maybe since the Broncos.
The Broncos, I believe. I don't think the Patriots ever did it, so I think it got to be the Broncos.
Yeah, that's hard to do. To repeat,
hard to do, man.
And to and also reinvent. Like, they kind of reinvented themselves. Like, they went from being an explosive offense, playing with the lead, and getting to the quarterback, and that was like their games. Like, okay, they're going to score a lot of points, and other teams got to catch up. They're going to be behind, and they have like a nice little pass rush, blitz, get force turnovers. But they had to really switch up their whole identity, and they're still winning because you got Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
And Andy Reid over there is cooking. So
exactly. Those 2 constants. Because you look at the different iterations of the Patriots team, right? Like, everything around those 2 guys changed except those 2 guys. It was always Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And as long as that combination was there, it don't matter if you got Troy Brown and Deion Butler, or if you got, Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski, like, you can still put together a winning formula as long as you got that guy right there. So, I think those 2 being together, man, as much as we hate to see it, like, Super Bowls go through those guys, man. So if we don't got the firepower to compete, or the defense to stop them, it's gonna be tough to beat that combination.
Right. And we got another flag on the play. And if you want to give the people an intro, this is one of the biggest storylines from the game. Obviously, the 49ers lost, but people are talking about Kyle Shanahan and how he's come up short as a head coach. And which happens, when the team loses, the quarterback and the head coach, in this case, the head coach, gets a lot of the blame. But some people are making this might be a valid point. So if you want to give people the intro, I'm going to go ahead and switch this up. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, as we all know, the Super Bowl was the second Super Bowl to go to overtime, but this was the first Super Bowl to go to overtime with the new overtime rules. And, it doesn't seem that one side of the equation was prepared for the new overtime rules.
Mm-hmm. And let me go ahead and play this real quick.
I didn't even know about the new playoff overtime rule, so it was a surprise to me. I didn't even really even know what was going on in terms of that. They put on the scoreboard, and everyone was like, "Oh, even if you score, they get a chance still." So,
did the coaching staff ever approach that at all this week, letting you guys know that if there is a time when it goes to OT, like these rules are different?
I wasn't aware of it.
You know what? I didn't even realize that the playoff rules were different in overtime. So I assumed you just want the ball because you score a touchdown and win. But I guess that's not the case. So I don't totally know the strategy there.
Something you guys have talked about?
No, we haven't talked about it. No.
Interesting.
Oh man,
it's not a good look.
That
It's not a good look for sure, and it's kind of interesting that they're talking about it too. I don't know if I would have said it out loud too. I was like, you got to keep that in the locker room. You know what I mean? Because that's a bad look for the coaches. But I guess players are frustrated. They're trying to figure out why they've lost, especially being this close to winning a Super Bowl. But like I said earlier, man, football is a game of inches. So something like this could be the difference in the game. And it's a valid point. If you think about if man, I gotta move this up real quick. My bad. But if you think about it, like, what is going on? My bad.
Yeah, man.
But if you think about it, man, like if the 49ers chose to kick the ball off, and then obviously the Chiefs would score, they were going to get the ball back no matter what, even if they scored a touchdown. Yeah. So at that point, they put the game in their hands. So that's a lot of people's argument is like, the 49ers could have had the ball back. They had the option of getting the ball back, and they didn't choose that. They could have kicked it off. Whatever the Chiefs did, they could have got the ball back and won the game. Whether if they scored a field goal or scored a touchdown, they still could have got back. They still could have got the ball back, scored a touchdown, and went for two, and try to win the game.
Yes.
So that's like the main argument.
So for people that don't know, during the regular season, if a game goes to overtime and if a team receives the ball, if they go downfield and they score a touchdown, that's game over. During the playoffs, even if that first team goes down and scores a touchdown, the second team still gets the ball back. So it's much more advantageous for the second team, right? Because they know exactly what they need to do. And what's crazy is that those guys are saying they didn't know the overtime rules, but I watched the coin toss on YouTube, and the referee explains the rules during the coin toss and says both teams will get the opportunity to possess the ball unless on this first drive there's a defensive touchdown. That's the only way the game can end on that first drive. So like they were explaining the rules right there. And then for Cal not to defer, because you give Patrick Mahomes an extra down, like every time field, because if they know they need a field goal, or if they know they need a touchdown, of course they're going to go for it on fourth down. But you yourself, you can't go for it on fourth down, because if you don't score in this drive, or if you put the ball in like good field position for the opposite team, they kick a field goal after you already possessed it, that's game over. So, and it's not like going down and scoring a touchdown first wins you the game like in the regular season. It doesn't. So it was just a horrible coaching decision from a guy that just can't seem to get out of his own way in the Super Bowl, man. It's been 3 times that a team that he's been the play caller for has had a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl. All 3 times he's lost. I don't know what's going on with Kyle Shanahan, man, and his inability to keep these leads. And it seems to be the same case every time. He abandons the run. He did it with the Falcons against the Patriots. He did it, with the 49ers against the Chiefs, and he did it again, yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you make valid points. I understand the criticism of Kyle Shanahan. I don't think he's perfect, but he's good enough to get the team to the Super Bowl. And if you look at the opposition that's winning, you're talking about Hall of Famers, all-time greats, the best of the best. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Tom Brady was the best quarterback in the league. So it's like, you know what I mean? So imagine if he had a top 3 quarterback or a top 2 quarterback. Matt Ryan was not a top. Was he a top 3 quarterback at that time? No.
Matt Ryan won MVP.
He won MVP, but was he a top? We can go to the MVP year, and would you say he's top 3 in that league? No, he was not. It was Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Breeze. Maybe. Would you take Breeze over?
But for that year.
He played. That year he played good. He played great. You know, because he won MVP. He put up the numbers. There was top offense. You know what I mean? Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, but I don't think was Matt Ryan a top 5, top 3 quarterback that year.
I mean, man, he had to be.
I gotta go pull that up right now. I gotta pull that.
Looking at rankings, no. But you look at like how he played that year. That year in the vacuum, he was the MVP. You know what? No matter what we think about everybody else, think about him talent-wise, that year he had played better at the position than anybody else. But even if you don't think he's a top 5 or top 10 quarterback, right? That even makes my case more. If you don't feel he's that, you have the lead, run the ball. They had a good running back. I forget my man's name. Goddamn. Chat, help me out. Comment section, help me out. I forget the running back they had at the time. But they had a good running back. And
for the Falcons?
For the Falcons. I forgot my man's name. He had dreads. My mind keeps saying Roddy White, but it's not Roddy White. I can't think who the running back was. He was wide receiver. But I can't remember running back's name. But they had a good running back. And they were being productive in the running game. And then they just abandoned it for whatever reason. And then they put themselves in a situation where at the end of the game, the only thing that could really hurt them was that if they took themselves out of field goal position. And what did they do? They try to throw the ball, they get a penalty that backs them up, and then they have to punt. Tom Brady goes down, ties the game, Super Bowl goes to overtime, and Tom Brady wins. I mean, he keeps making these mistakes in the game, man.
Yeah, and I'm about to share the 2016 season because it's the year that let me see if I could move this out the way so you guys can see it on the screen. Let's see if we can go this way. Boom. Oop, oh, my bad. All right, let's do this right here. So let's look at it real quick. Oh, damn, you can't see it.
You can see it. Look at the ranks. I mean, we know who the quarterbacks were. I mean, well, we know the top 2 are Drew Brees and Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Then Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Matt Stafford.
All right, there you go. There you go. All right. So he did have a great year. Matt Ryan was number 2 in the league, as you can see. But let's look at the quarterbacks there in the league. Let's see. You have Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Stafford. At the time, that year, Andrew Luck. Would you take Andrew Luck or Matt Ryan that year? Or just as a quarterback, who would you choose? That year, like if you had to choose a quarterback, Andrew Luck or because if you remember, Matt Ryan had offensive pieces around him. He had an all-time great tight end. He had Julio Jones and Roddy White. If y'all don't remember, Roddy White was a pretty good receiver.
Roddy was good.
Probably.
Andrew Luck had some guys too, though. I mean, Andrew Luck had some guys too. He had some guys too.
Nah, nothing even close. Nothing close.
Nobody in the league. 2016 was Megatron still in the league, but yeah, outside of AB. At 2016, there's probably not a guy. Was AB even AB yet? But there wasn't a guy that was as physically dominating as Julio Jones. There's very few players in the history of the league with with those kind of physical tools at the wide receiver position. So he had a good wide receiver core.
Right, and so look, even numbers wise, Tom Brady he's number 20, and this is as far as yards. I think this is what that's why it's ranked that way. It's
like he was hurt too. So yeah, Tom Brady only played 12 games, so he didn't play the full year.
Didn't
He
have,
went 11-1 though. He went 11-1 though.
11-1, so 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the 12 games that he was in. So take that for however way you want to take that. Would you say Roethlisberger?
Look at our boy. Look at our boy.
Roethlisberger or
Look
Matt
at
Ryan? Roethlisberger or Matt Ryan? 2016. I'm just saying if you like, let's put it this way: if you switched
that's
out,
probably at that point it's probably Matt Ryan, but Roethlisberger didn't take care of himself, so he was already kind of older, already kind of getting kind of sloppy, so
yeah.
But like I'm taking Drew Brees over him. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers over here. I'm probably taking Matt Stafford over him, even though Matt Stafford's more talented. I'm probably taking look at Carson Palmer. I'm probably taking Russell Wilson over him at that time. It's a few guys I'm taking over him. I'm probably taking Cam Newton. Cam Newton was young at that time, so maybe not. But look at Derek Carr. That was the year everybody was saying like Derek Carr was that guy. He's still 14th in the league, bro.
Yeah. But look. My point is Matt Ryan is a pretty good quarterback. I'm not trying to say that he wasn't a good quarterback. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, like Kyle Shanahan is going against all-time greats at quarterback, and he has the guys that come in like what 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Are they top 10 quarterback? Matt Ryan was probably his best quarterback that he's ever had. And he was an offensive coordinator at that time. Dan Quinn was the head coach. Then you got Jimmy G. We've seen what Jimmy G is. At this point, you know what I mean? He's injury, like he was an injury-prone quarterback. He just wasn't good enough. But you make a good point. At the end of the day, he's played with leads, or he's coached with a 10-point lead. And when you don't have as much talent as the next team, you almost got to have not talent because the 49ers are talented, but like in a situation where you're going against arguably the best coach in football and quarterback, you almost got to play a perfect game. So it's like, man, it's like on one end, he's like, yeah, he's making a mistake by not preparing his players as well as he could, but they lost in overtime in the Super Bowl, which we don't see overtimes in the Super Bowl like ever happen. And
he's been in 2 of them. He's been in two of them.
He's been in 2 of them. He's 2 of them.
He's been in 2. He's been in the only 2 ever, and he lost both of them.
Yeah, but yeah, it is a flag on the play when the players come out and say like we didn't know, and then you got players from the Patriots. I could actually not the Patriots. I'm sorry.
The Chiefs.
From the Chiefs talking about how like they were prepared well before the Super Bowl. Prepared if it was ever a close game, or if they ever play an overtime game, prepared to play in the playoffs. And I can play that clip as well.
For 2 weeks, we talked about the new overtime rule and how we was going to get a ball to the opponent. If they scored, we was going for 2 at the end of the game. We kind of rehearsed it, and
You know what? I didn't even realize that the playoff rules were different in overtime. So I assumed you just want the ball because you score a touchdown and win. But I guess that's not the case. So I don't totally know the strategy there.
For 2 weeks.
So at the end of the day, it's a flag on the play, man.
Man, it's a flag. Because what makes it so bad is that like it's not like these are some young guys. These are Arik Armstead and Kyle Juszczyk. These are like 2 of your team leaders. These like Kyle Juszczyk, the best fullback in the league, right? He's like a legit weapon at fullback, and he's a team leader. He's all that. All that. Same with Arik Armstead. Been in the league for a long time out of Oregon. Was his first round draft pick. Before DeForest Buckner left him, DeForest Buckner was they're talking about that them yoga pants, bro. Man.
Hey, man.
I'm dying.
You're
man.
Hilarious.
I'm dead, man. But yeah, that's a flag, man. Yes, exactly. They've been in the what makes it so bad is that the ref explained the rule during the coin toss. Like, how do you not know? At that point, he explained it, and it's like, yo, like you gotta. That's wild, man. That's wild, man. And what this reminds me of, just real quick before we move on. Remember that time? I want to say Lane Kiffin was the coach, and then our long snapper got hurt, and we didn't have a backup long snapper. It's like, bro, like, how do you not prepare for this? And it's like Kyle Shanahan, you've been in an overtime Super Bowl before. Like, how are you not like thinking like, you know what, this game could possibly go to overtime? You've been in an overtime Super Bowl, like literally. So it's like, bro, that is a flag. He was giving them the business.
Yeah, flag on the play for sure on that one. I agree. It's a bad look for the 49ers and the coaching staff. But then the other side of me is like, man, you know what? They lost against the best quarterback and the best head coach. It is what it is. Purdy, you can't tell me Purdy is the guy in a close game. In a close game, if you told me it was a close game and Purdy was on the other side and it was Mahomes, I'm picking Mahomes every time.
Oh, all day.
If I had to put money on it, I'm gonna pick Mahomes. I'm like, yeah, the team with Mahomes is gonna win in a close game. It's a close game. Okay, cool. But I get where you're coming from. They're up 10. Yeah, but you know, even though they were up 10, you know the Chiefs is not gonna go away. They're gonna figure out a way to make this a game. But at the end of the day, like Shanahan, he almost has to coach a perfect game, and he didn't. He made some mistakes along the way, but you can't make mistakes when you got Purdy at quarterback and Mahomes on the other side. So it is what it is. It is a flag on the play, man. But we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell. We want to keep coming back and doing this, man. As you can see, we're going live on both channels. My guy, the Severe Raider. So make sure if you guys haven't subscribed, go over there and subscribe to his channel as well as mine, man. I'm trying to get to that 4K. You know what I mean? Need y'all support. But yeah, man, let's get into the chat, man. Nonfiction says, yeah, the NFL made that change because of the Bills-Chiefs game. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
But exactly, and just like the last comment said, like it's been around for like a couple seasons. So, and you got the Chiefs players talking about like, oh yeah, we were prepared for that moment. You know, it was a close game on overtime. We knew that we were going to give the ball up in that moment. So it's tough. It's tough if you're a 49er fan, and I'm here for it because I don't like the 49ers, but it is what it is, man. SoCal Sales, that's Shanahan's problem. Gets away from the run and forces the pass all the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man. And I think he would get away with it if he had probably an elite quarterback. And
possibly.
So you're saying that he probably should have ran the ball a little bit more. And the thing is, he has Christian McCaffrey, and he was just like passing.
That's my point.
It's like
Christian McCaffrey. Outside, Christian McCaffrey was the second best offensive player on the field behind Patrick Mahomes. And why you don't utilize him? Christian McCaffrey, this is how good Christian McCaffrey was this past year. Christian McCaffrey led the league in this is how good the 49ers line was and Christian McCaffrey was. I want to say that they said it like at some point during the game. I was watching the highlight. They said Christian McCaffrey led the league in yards gained on rushes before contact. And then he led the league in yards after contact. That's how good he was this year. And that's how good that 49ers line is. And they did not utilize him at all. Like, I'm going to say George Kittle had like 4 yards for the game. Like, and it was on that one first down play on the little out route he ran. So it's like, yo, like, why are you not utilizing? Like, he's legitimately top 3 tight end in the league. Why are you not utilizing him more? Why are you not utilizing Christian McCaffrey, who's your best offensive weapon, who was the MVP of your team? Like, I don't get it.
D-Moke says, I'm telling you, they throwing the coach under the bus. Hey, man.
Bro, that's where he belongs right now.
Is it the beginning? Is it beginning of the end for Kyle Shanahan? You know what I mean? Because when that Super Bowl window, when a team has a Super Bowl window, that's a real thing. You know what I mean? If they are the Niners ever going to be back, you know, who knows? I think they still have a talented roster. I think they got one more in them, but you never know, man. It's a year-to-year league. Injuries could happen. You know, we'll see. But hey, man, that could be the players being frustrated, and yeah, it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? For them to come out and say that, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like that was kind of weird for them to say, like, oh yeah, we weren't prepared. Like, they pretty much
exactly.
like the reporters were saying, so the coaches didn't prepare you, but they didn't want to say it, but they kind of said it without saying it. Like, we just didn't know. We didn't know. And that's the responsibility of the coach and the coaching staff.
It's a situation where the 49ers have this next year. If they don't get it done this next year, their window is probably closed. George Kittle's getting older. I think Ayuk is about to come up. He's about to want to get paid. And then since Brock Purdy wasn't a first-round pick, there's no fifth-year option. So after the 4 years, he's going to want to get paid too. So the little $1 million that you're paying him right now. And the 49ers, I think after this year, I want to say they're like $4 or $5 million over the cap right now. So they have to salute to my guy, Protect the Shield. So they have to shed some salary or restructure some guys right now. So, and Brock Purdy's only making $1 million. So when he starts making that $35-40 million that he's going to command if he has another year like he just had this past year, like they're going to have to shed. And is Brock Purdy good enough? And would he be good enough at that point to be able to make up for everything you have to give up for the salary that you're going to have to pay him? That's the decision they're going to have to make. And I don't think he is. So it's like,
yeah, man. No, I get it, man. Because eventually players are going to want to get paid. Purdy, is he the guy? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to have to figure that out. Because after a while, like, they're going to figure out like what's his ceiling going to look like? They're kind of he's on a rookie deal. He's a 7th-round pick. Last year he was a rookie, so we'll figure it out. I mean, he didn't play bad yesterday. I don't think he played terrible, but it was just like
terrible.
He didn't play terrible. It's just that at the end of the day, like, he's going against Mahomes. Like, it's just it's not. You got at the end of the day, like, let's keep it real. Like, we know who the best quarterback in the game is, and it's for the Chiefs. And I'm kind of tired talking about the Chiefs and the 49ers. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is the longest I've ever talked about the Chiefs and the 49ers on a live. Yeah, that's crazy, man. This is a Raiders channel. I'm just want to remind y'all, if it's your first time joining this channel, this is actually a Raiders channel. We don't talk about any other team except for the Raiders. But since the big game was yesterday, we're gonna touch on it. We're football fans as well, so we're gonna talk about the game. But a lot happened leading up to the game. A lot of interviews, a lot of Raider players talking, coaches, and including Pierce. I feel like Pierce had like a media week. Like, he was going everywhere. ESPN. He was going. Obviously it's the Super Bowl. Super Bowl week. It's in Vegas, so every Raider player and coach was out there trying to talk to everybody, including Antonio Pierce. And I think he had an interesting interview with my guy, not my guy, but Keyshawn Johnson. He has a YouTube channel, and he had a podcast and interview with him. And he asked him about Jack Jones and how that happened and how they were able to acquire him and how successful that was for the Raiders. And it was interesting how Antonio Pierce kind of broke down how that unfolded. And at first, we all kind of, everybody assumed that, AP had a little bit of say in it because he knew him and yada, yada, yada. But the way AP talked about it, and I'm not going to, I'm going to let AP say it.
Success that he's had thus far with the Raiders.
I'm going to tell you, it goes back to even last year. As soon as I walked in the building, they said, hey, who did you coach at ASU that you think can play in the league? I said, Jack Jones. Man, he got this, he got that. Well, I wasn't in a position to have any say. Obviously, I have enough clout in the room to make that decision. He got drafted by the Patriots. But as soon as he hit that wire, and I saw it come across, I ran right upstairs to our interim head GM, Champ Kelly. I said, Champ, he can help us. Oh, AP, I don't know, man. He got a lot of baggage. I said, I know. Trust me. I know. I've been here for all of it. Then I went to Mark Davis. I don't know, AP. Right now, you want to do that? So I let it kind of ride for about a couple hours. Went downstairs, did some more homework, watched some more film, researched a little bit more, went back upstairs. And at this time, it wasn't about asking. I'm pounding on the table. I said, you know what? I believe in him so much. If we have this up, get rid of both of us at the end of the season. Because I know what I'm getting with Jack Jones. First and foremost, Jack is not a bad kid. Excuse me. A young man. He's a father. He graduated from ASU. He's made decisions that we all made at certain times in our life that we wish we can go back.
True.
He has never hurt anybody. He's done nothing so criminal where he's put himself in a position to be jailed. Now, he had, a bad decision he made at the airport. That got cleared up. We moved on, did our homework there. But when you put him in a culture and an environment where he can be taught, led, groomed, hugged, loved, disciplined, and you can keep recycling that cycle with him, you want to get the best out of him. And what you saw those last, whatever it was, 6 or 7 weeks that he's with us, was just that. Because on the field, he's a problem. And that's in a good way. Ask the teams that he was picking off when he was reading those plays. The anticipation skills and his ability to read and the love for the game is unmatched. Our swag level, as you want to say, went out the roofs when we put him in our secondary. Everybody in that back end was trying to make plays, studying film a little differently, watching Jack Jones, how he operated in practice, because he did what he did in games in practice. But like any of us, Key, you want somebody that believes in you.
Yeah.
And Jack knows I believe in him. He believes in me, and you want an opportunity. Now, Jack knows this might be your last opportunity, but we can't screw this one up. And he did a hell of a job for us at the end of the season.
So yeah, go ahead and check out that. It's a full interview. AP had a lot to say about certain things with the Raiders, but I thought it was interesting what he said. In Severe, if you can just take over real quick on what AP said.
Yeah, first off, man, I just want to say I see a message from Daniel Kim, man. I just want to say prayers to your son, brother. He said his son broke his arm at a Super Bowl party. He had to have emergency surgery, man. So I'm sure me, Pharaoh, on behalf of everybody in the chat, we're all sending positive vibes your way, man. Hope that surgery went well, man. Hope he makes a speedy recovery. So a few things about what AP said, man. What is a few things that I took note of. First thing is that I think a lot of people, when they were making the argument that we should bring Champ Kelly back, essentially his two best acquisitions that he made, as an interim GM were Janarius Robinson, who was arrested for DUI subsequently, and Jack Jones. And I think, at the time we all speculated that Antonio Pierce was pretty much the driving force behind the Jack Jones acquisition. Me and Pharaoh talked about it. I'm sure other people talked about it as well. So in the whole, Champ Kelly should be GM thing, I think, he kind of loses some points because he initially said no. And that's another thing. And this is the thing about Antonio Pierce. This is like, you can tell like Antonio Pierce hasn't been in the league for a long time. He's still rough around the edges. He's not like polished as a head coach yet. Because like you don't want to throw anybody in the organization under the bus like that, right? Like he named names. He was like, yo, I went to Champ Kelly. Champ Kelly was like, hell no, we don't want this dude, And then, Mark Davis said, I don't know about him. Like, that's not stuff like a polished head coach would say, right? That's, AP is real, but sometimes he's too real. Like a polished head coach was like, you know what? There are people in the organization, they had some questions about it, and they initially, I was rebuffed, when I told them this is the guy I wanted. I subsequently went to go study some more tape and did some more research. And I went back upstairs, talked to the people that were in charge of making the decisions. And I pounded the table for Jack Jones. You know what? And they brought him on board. And I think it was the best decision. You say stuff like that. That's why it protects the people who initially said no. Because now, if I'm Jack Jones, like every time Champ Kelly passed by, I'm looking like yo sucker, like you didn't want me here, fool. Like I should have slapped you right now. But it's like, so that's why, like, as a head coach, there's a political aspect to it. Like, and so but that was just funny to me.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Daniel, man, hey, I hope everything is going well with your son. Man, that is crazy that happened. Prayers to you and your family, man. Hey, Daniel Kim, man, he's one of our guys over here on my channel, and I know he's a one of the best minds out here, man. Hopefully everything's going well with your son, man. Hey, he has surgery, man. It sucks when anytime you have surgery, but hopefully everything went well. But yeah, man, Daniel Kim, man, and you're watching this too, man. My God, man, I'm gonna have to give you. Man, that's the Raider in you right there. salute to Daniel Kim, man. He's in the hospital watching this live, man. I appreciate you, my guy, man. I appreciate everything you do as a mod for the channel. But as far as the, as far as the what was said by AP, I thought it was real interesting, man. The dude, he's proven himself, man, right now. Like, he bet on himself. As you heard him say, he said, "Hey, you can cut me and Jack Jones after the season if it doesn't work out." And both Jack Jones and himself proved himself well to Raider Nation, to the players, to the front office, the people in the organization, the alumni, and stuff like this. When you hear this, it kind of makes Champ Kelly look a little bad too. A little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Kinda. A little.
It does. It does. What made him look even worse, is when there were reports that, like, we felt like he had the GM job in the bag, but what I think the nail in the coffin was for him was the fact that his plan to get a QB, I think there were reports saying that he wanted to roll with AOC at quarterback.
Oh, bro.
You know what I mean? We'll get into that. We'll get into the quarterback situation, but I think that's like what was a nail in the coffin.
Oh, man.
It is what it is, but to find out that he wasn't one of the guys in the building that had he wasn't him and AP were on the same page with Jack Jones, because AP he kind of like wrapped it up a little bit, but in reality, he was the guy. He basically said, "I was the guy that made the move for Jack Jones. I was the guy that had to do all the research, had to come to Champ Kelly. He went to Champ Kelly, and Champ Kelly said no. He went to Mark Davis. Y'all didn't pick that. He went to Champ Kelly. Champ Kelly was like, nah, and then he went to Mark Davis.
Yeah.
And then he convinced Mark Davis. And then, Champ, he's on an interim basis, so he's probably gonna be like, all right, whatever, let's do it. We can go ahead and do it. But yeah, man, AP, man, I'm rooting for AP. I'm definitely rooting for AP. Man. I'm definitely rooting for AP. AJ Simpson says, let AP cook. Yeah, facts,
he cooked Champ Kelly. That's what he cooked. It's well done on that one.
Yeah, Daniel Kim. He says, I love that AP keeps himself accountable, though. Yeah. I just don't want it to get to his head. I just hope, I hope he just keeps this going, like the accountability, the hunger to learn. But I don't think it's going to be an issue with him, because that's the biggest thing about him is the fact that he's accountable. Players trust him, feel like they believe everything that he has to say. And, he's one of those dudes. If you're watching that Keyshawn Johnson interview that he had, there are moments where Keyshawn was like trying to laugh or say some things about like his experience. Oh, I was at that was actually the place where training day happened, like, because he was talking about the high school that he was at, and AP just looked. AP didn't laugh, smile. He just looked at him like, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
There was like different moments where I'm like, man, this dude. He's not gonna fake laugh. He's just gonna be 100% him.
Nah, facts.
Super Army Crimes with AP. F politics actually adds to the character and transparency of AP. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Matt, I will say this. I mean, you want somebody that's real, but as a person that's in a position of leadership, there's certain politics you have to respect. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and that stuff is important. It's important to like the dynamics of an organization. You never want to be like, imagine if we're going through the draft process, right? Imagine like this is the Chiefs. I'm sure there are some scouts with the Chiefs that did not want Patrick Mahomes. Like, do you want to be like, do you want those people, like, do you want Patrick Mahomes to know, like, these are the people that said we shouldn't draft you? Like, that's like, so that's why sometimes you have to keep that stuff like protected. Yeah, man, look.
Nonfiction says, I believe why Champ wasn't selected was because Mark didn't want a newbies and head coach and GM. He wasn't going to go pass on AP. Yeah, I think AP, and he said that like in the interview too, he didn't look at AP and Champ as a package deal. But we felt like early on, Champ had the best chance to stay on. And we thought like the head coach, like, AP had to do a lot for him to get in. But AP kind of took the lead and Champ kind of lost it almost, like, in my opinion. I felt like and I don't think he lost it because of Jack Jones. I think he lost it maybe during the interview process. I think, and we'll get into the Raiders, man, and the quarterback situation. And you're looking at looking at the chat real quick. D-Moke says the day AP is going to let it go to his head, we will know. He's going to start his sentence with, I tell you what, man, Spider 2 White Banana is the best play call.
Hey, look, I would say this. I was watching there was an interview with it was an interview with Antonio Pierce. And then Antonio Pierce started like referring to himself in third person, like AP, like when he did that. I was like, I was like, uh-oh.
I seen that.
Uh-oh, like no, don't do that, brother. Do not start that.
I've seen the third person thing too as well. So that's why I'm like, oh my, I don't want AP referring to himself in third person, but he's feeling himself. I think, but I think he's having fun. And at the end of the day, like, he knows what it's all about. I think he knows at the end of the day he's gonna have to win, so he's gonna do what it takes. But let's actually get into and that was actually notable quotables. My bad, y'all. Gotta be on it. You know what I mean? Gotta be on it real quick. Hold on 1 second. But let's get into what's real, what's not. What's real and what's not, man. This is where we say a statement and we react to it by saying it's real or it's not real. And the first statement is the Raiders should sign a vet and have him compete with AOC. The Raiders will sign a vet and have him compete with AOC. Do you think that's real or that's not? And when I say that, I'm gonna add that, like, they don't draft a QB early in the draft. Like, everybody's assuming that that's gonna happen because they're gonna sign a vet, maybe a Kirk Cousins, maybe a Russell Wilson when he becomes a free agent, and then have him compete with AOC. I think if they sign Kirk Cousins, it's not gonna be no competition because he's gonna want to get paid. Why would you pay that much money for him to even like have a chance to lose his job? But I think if it's like a Russell Wilson where he's getting paid by the Broncos, comes in cheap, and he knows he's going to be getting the Broncos are going to be paying the difference to whatever contract he signs with the Raiders, and then he have him compete with AOC while the Raiders focus on other parts of their team, like maybe draft an O-lineman early. Because with all these quarterbacks, people are not talking about this, but with all these quarterbacks projected to go within the top 10, that means there's going to be some top players at other positions that are going to be available, like O-line, like tackle specifically, at corner, high value positions where the Raiders could use a player at those positions. So do you think that's real? Do you think Raiders will sign a vet and have him compete with AOC?
Man, I'm going to say that's not, man. I'm going to say that's not real. I think right now, there's never been a time, or will there ever be a time, outside of maybe him, unless he wins a Super Bowl, where AP has more power in this organization. Right now, he is the guy that, Raider Nation loves, the players love him, fan base loves him, the alumni loves him. He has a lot of power right now. He has a lot of sway of what happens. And he wants Jaden Daniels. I think that, and if they and we already kind of speculated that the reason that Champ Kelly didn't get the job is because Champ Kelly's in the interview was like, look, let me tell you about this Aiden O'Connell kid. And Mark Davis was like, it was like, what? Like, let me call up. He's like, yeah, sure, Champ. He's on the phone with Tom Telesco. Like, okay, yeah, sure, Champ. So what was your plan, Telesco? You gonna do? Okay. So I think that, the fact that Champ Kelly didn't have a legit plan to get up and potentially get one of those top quarterbacks, I think that was kind of a death knell for Champ. And the fact that Tom Telesco probably came with a plan to do that, I think that's real. We already heard that AP was interviewing these offensive coordinators, that he was interviewing them with Jaden Daniels being the quarterback in mind. So I think that if he's 100% sold on this kid, like he's 100% sold on Jack Jones, where he's willing to put his coaching career on the line for it, then how could you not go up and make that move? And that's a make or break move too. If it does not work out, then we are in for a world of hurt for years to come, like Carolina. So they have to be sure about it. But, AP is a man of conviction. And if he's sure that Jaden Daniels is the quarterback of our future, I think we should make that move.
Yeah, I agree. This is the 50-50 show, so we like talking about either. We try to show both sides of the coin. But on this one, I gotta agree with you, man. I think that at the end of the day, like the Raiders, think about it. It all starts with that quarterback position. We just seen the Super Bowl. Mahomes winning another ring. We're in a division with the Chiefs. We got to go through the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. It's going to happen. There's going to be a moment in time when the Raiders are going to put together a roster and they make it to playoffs. They're going to have to go through the Chiefs, man. And it's going to happen, or they're going to have to win that division. And we got to play the Chiefs twice a year. In order to beat the Chiefs, we're going to have to have some type of talent at that quarterback position. I think they're going to have to be aggressive. We just talked about, Mark Davis, and we'll get into it right now. Well, actually, I'm going to play a clip right now. And it's pretty much, let's see here. Ian Rappaport and some guys at NFL Network talk about the quarterback position, how the Raiders are going to be aggressive this offseason.
Let's start here right in Las Vegas, where their new head coach, Antonio Pierce, wants to be aggressive in going and getting a franchise quarterback. And owner Mark Davis grilled general manager candidates during that search about how potentially you could move up from number 13 to get one. I spoke to Davis at Super Bowl opening night. He told me, quote, the quarterback is probably the most important player on the field, so you've got to ask the GM, what is their vision? It's an important question. No secret, Pierce has a relationship with LSU's Jaden Daniels, whom he recruited back to Arizona State. When you also look at the options on the roster, guys, Aiden O'Connell certainly is one. He showed poise on the field. They've got Jimmy Garoppolo. Decision there seems unlikely he'd be the starter. Worth noting, really hard to trade up. It could cost you a lot. Their new GM, Tom Telesco, only did it one time in 11 years with the Chargers in round one.
Well, no doubt about it.
So you heard it there, right there. They talked to Mark Davis. He talks about the importance of the quarterback position. He emphasized that during the interview process when he interviewed the GMs. So obviously, you know what I mean. You could see why Telesco might have gotten the job, because he felt that experience and his plan, probably getting a quarterback, was the best out of all the candidates. And on top of that, man, like the Raiders, man, had the worst quarterback room, probably one of the worst quarterback rooms in the NFL last year. They need to upgrade that spot. And I put out a poll too as well. And I asked Raider Nation, let me adjust this real quick. I asked Raider Nation how they should attack the draft. Attack that quarterback position. Should they draft a QB in the first round? Should they sign a vet and have them compete with AOC, or all of the above? And 61% said draft a QB. 9% says sign a vet and compete with OC, and then 30% says all of the above. And guess what? You see my picture right here? You know where I'm going to roll with. I'm going with all of the above. We got to improve that quarterback room. Sign a veteran cheap. When I say sign a vet, I'm not saying it got to be the biggest contract, free agent contract for a QB. Yeah. Sign a vet. We're still going to have AOCs under contract on a rookie deal, 4th round pick last year, and get a quarterback in the first round. Yeah. Simple.
Man.
Our night and day from how our quarterback room could look like from the previous season to next season if we do this. We follow through on this. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And it doesn't have to be Russell Wilson. I put Russell Wilson up here, but it can be any veteran QB cheap, because you got to like solidify team free agency, but pretty much is solidifying positions before the draft. So it kind of gives them flexibility to do what they want during the draft, like whether to move up, down the draft. They don't have to force picks. Teams try their best to like, fill their rosters a little bit with free agency, so then when it comes draft time, they can target the positions they want. But quarterback has to be one of the positions they can sign. They have to sign a vet QB, in my opinion, because look, Brian Hoyer, he's not coming back.
No.
Jimmy G, they're going to try to get rid of that contract. Yeah, unlikely.
Unlikely he's back.
But they still owe him money. They still owe him, they're going to still owe him money. So I don't know how that's going to shake out. But, it's really dependent on how they want to move. I don't think Jimmy G's like a bad dude in the locker room, but it's just one of those deals like, I don't know. I just feel like they're going to have to get rid of that contract. It's so bad, man. And that's part of the reason why Ziegler and McDaniels are gone. It's just like, man, they just moves like that. It didn't make any sense. But at the end of the day, I think they should do all of the above. The nation thinks it should just be a QB first round. But hey, man, let's improve that entire quarterback room. And you do that by signing a veteran and getting a QB in the first round. And you know what? Like, we heard rumors. There are rumors of, the Raiders being we just heard Ian Rappaport that the Raiders are going to be aggressive upgrading that quarterback position. And we heard rumors that the Patriots, remember I told you this. I knew it. I was like, the Patriots are looking to see what they can get if they were going to trade down from third overall. They're doing their research and seeing what they can do at that pick. Is it going to happen? It's smoke season at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's smoke season. So we don't know what could happen, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that the Raiders can realistically trade up to top 3? Because that's what it's going to take to get what people are talking about in the chat and the Raider Nation is talking about, Jaden Daniels, because that's the quarterback that the Raiders are connected to a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's the guy I kind of identify early on as my QB1. I will say this. If you're going to make a move for what it's going to cost to go up there and get him, you better make sure that he is the guy. Because if you think about it like this, how much or how many draft picks would you give up if you knew, well, this is going to sting, but if you knew you were getting like CJ Stroud back, right? Mm-hmm. What he just did this last year, or what he projects to go to be going forward. How many picks would you give up to get a guy like Joe Burrow if you knew he was going to be the guy that he is? Or even though, we don't necessarily like the guy, but from a talent standpoint, Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, if you knew for sure that, or you were fairly certain that the guy was going to be that kind of guy, like how much would you give up to get that guy? There isn't a coach in the NFL right now who knows more about Jaden Daniels than Antonio Pierce and Marvin Lewis, right? Because they were both on that staff at Arizona State. So those guys both know him extremely well. So if both of those guys are saying, hey, I think he can be our quarterback of the future, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go up and get him. It's going to be extremely expensive. But I think that if you're certain that he is the guy, that is the most important position on the field. We saw that you can have damn near every other position right, be better in almost every other position on the football field. But if there is that wide of a gap between your quarterback and their quarterback, it don't matter. So I think it's very important we get this position right. We haven't had a franchise quarterback, a true franchise quarterback. I know some people are like, well, we had Derek Carr. We hadn't had a true franchise quarterback in a long time. And the last guy we had was at the tail end of his career, and it was a very, very short stint. So it's been I don't know how long since we've had a guy that was a fairly young quarterback that we had pretty much for the duration of his career and be the guy that leads our franchise. So I think that if they're certain about Jaden Daniels, we should go up and make that move. And I think we should pair him with a veteran too. We don't necessarily have to do it, but if we can get a guy like Russell Wilson on the cheap, or Tyrod Taylor or Jacoby Brissett, guys that can be serviceable if called upon, who are also vet guys, who also have some similar skill sets to what Jaden Daniels has, because if we're designing the offense around Jaden Daniels, ideally you don't go from Jaden Daniels to Aiden O'Connell, but it might be the case.
Yeah, man. And look, man, look. Lakeshore Raider says, since the Commanders aren't trying to trade up for Caleb Williams, y'all think we might try to trade for him if he's available? I mean, and he's the guy that's projected to go number 1 overall. And you know, the Bears got to be willing to trade down. See, and the thing, and Severe touched on this as well. Like, there's so many teams ahead of us that have a need at quarterback, and this is the quarterback draft. So it's gonna be tough to get to number 1. From 13 to number 1, we're gonna have to give them a historic trade. It's gonna be a crazy amount because the demand is there. There's too many teams in front of us, so that's gonna raise the value up. And it's from 13 to number 1. Like, let's be honest, like that in itself is gonna if the Raiders owned the number 1 pick and a team was trying to trade up we would want like how many first round picks to go all the way down to 13? Because you just went from picking arguably the best player in the draft to a top 15 player, a top 13 player. I don't know about that. So I don't think Caleb Williams, I don't think we're going to have a chance to get him. And to be honest with you, I don't think the Raiders really have a chance. Man, it's right now smoke season because it's kind of hard to say. We've like I said, I talked about earlier, there are reports about maybe the Patriots can exploring some trade down possibilities. That could be the Raiders' chance, but it's still going to be tough, man. Still going to be tough to even get to the top 3. Realistically, if a quarterback drops to maybe 6, 7, around that range, maybe they trade up. But when the owner gives the GM the green light to go get the quarterback, to go do it, I mean, hey, we'll see what happens during draft time, man. Anything could happen. Anything can happen.
Nah, facts.
D-Moke says, remember, we still have Hoyer for another year. No, we have Hoyer for another year. Did he sign a 2-year deal? We can get out that contract.
Deal, man. He's gone. He's
gone. But McDaniels,
he is gone.
McDaniels, man, what were they thinking signing a quarterback that wanted to retire and Brian Hoyer, career backup? God, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
That was no sense.
Their personnel decisions were.
Daniel Kim got something for you. He says, what's your insight that the top QBs don't know enough to the middle of the field, and don't allow deeper plays to develop? Just my question from some videos I watched.
So I think that is one of the main criticisms of Jayden Daniels, that he doesn't throw enough to the middle of the field, or that his accuracy isn't as good to the middle of the field as it is, or to intermediate, parts of the field as it is to on the deeper routes. I don't think he was asked to do much of that. When he was asked to do it, he did it quite well. Caleb Williams is a guy that really didn't work the middle of the field that well, but that oftentimes that's one of the struggles of like shorter quarterbacks, that they generally don't have great vision to the middle of the field. So if you look at even Russell Wilson through a lot of his career, Kyler Murray, like Bryce Young is struggling with that. Like it's hard to find those passing lanes to the middle of the field. So a lot of times those guys, and they just, sometimes they just can't see those routes developing, and they don't have enough anticipation to those parts of the field. So I think that's something that, shorter quarterbacks struggle with. People forget Caleb Williams he's a shorter quarterback. He's like 6 feet tall. So, and Drake May is just young. Drake May is like, he's just a young guy. So that may be something that, as he gets older and develops more, he'll start to trust, what he's seeing more, and gets to trust his eyes more and let it go. Because anytime you're throwing to the middle of the field, that's the most dangerous area of the field to throw to, because the ball gets tipped up, that's an interception. Or, sometimes if your vision isn't great, that's one of the issues that JJ McCarthy has. He doesn't have great vision as a quarterback, doesn't have great instincts. So he's, he makes bad decisions, or he doesn't see guys that are just, in coverage, and he misses them. And you still do that over the middle of the field. Those are interceptions waiting to happen. We see what Spillane was able to do a lot of time, right? A lot of times, he's just sitting there in zone, right? But the ball is coming right to him because guys don't have great vision to that part of the field. So, I think that's just, that's something that with proper coaching, I think those guys can can all elevate. But I think Jaden Daniels, you look at what he was able to do in the SEC against that competition. Number 7 strength of schedule in the nation, and the numbers he put up were just bananas. So I think you put him in the right offense, and he's a guy that I think is going to take the league by storm.
Right. And let's move on to the second statement here for what's real, what's not. The Raiders should be concerned about their coaching staff. Is this real or it's not real?
Man, I think that's real. Man. I mean, I'm a UCLA fan, so I'm sure we all saw the news about Deshaun Foster, essentially leaving the Raiders to go back. He was with us for like a week, leaving the Raiders to go back to UCLA. I was looking at something the other day, and if you look at the Washington Commanders, right? The Washington Commanders were the last team in the NFL to hire a head coach, and they've pretty much already filled out almost their entire coaching staff. And the Raiders still have several holes on their coaching staff. I don't think we have. I mean, Edgar Bennett is staying on, but I don't believe we have a tight ends coach. I don't know who our offensive line coach is going to be. I don't know who our running backs coach is going to be. Are we going to call back Kenny Palomado? Like, hey, you know what? Hey, big head, you up? You go ahead and one of those calls, so it's like it's still several spots on this coaching. I know some of those spots could be filled by guys we end up retaining, but a lot of those coaches already left for other jobs. So that is definitely a concern, man. And the longer we wait, the smaller that pool of qualified candidates gets.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of concerned because we're noticing a lot of teams are literally, and I think this is real. This is real. We should be concerned because, and I'll go to actually. I'm gonna go. I'll pull that up in a second. But the Raiders coaching staff, man, like of what we know, who's actually on the team. I mean, obviously they're gonna probably bring some guys from last year, but this is a guy they kind of like. They wanted on the coaching staff, and I was kind of excited for it too as well because I was hearing a lot of good things. I know Severe, you're high on him. You're a big UCLA fan. So I know you're excited. He's probably gonna be the head coach over there. But it's another coach that the Raiders lost. Because if you want to include Cliff Kingsbury, because Cliff was the OC for the Raiders until he wasn't. Until he was like, you know what, I changed my mind for whatever years you guys not getting my third year. Matty Johnson had a conversation with him. Whatever. He's with the Commanders now. So Lou Getsy was the backup option, and then after that, now fast forward, we got Deshaun Foster, who's a guy that the Antonio Pierce brought onto the staff, and he didn't even last. What has it been, a week? Look at that. Look at Adam Schefter says Deshaun lasted 1 week as the Raiders running backs coach before landing the job in life. And I'm not knocking him. At the end of the day, that's a big opportunity from being a running backs coach to becoming the head coach of a college program like UCLA. That's a big step up for him. So I'm not mad at him for doing that. But for the Raiders, you got to be a little bit, because who's our online coach going to be? We don't know who our online coach is going to be. That's a big hire that hasn't happened yet.
Who's our quarterbacks coach? If we're going to draft a young quarterback, who is our quarterback? Like, that's going to be one of the most important coaches on the staff, and we have no idea who that guy is yet.
Yep, 100%, 100%. That's a big one that we don't know yet. And then I think Edgar Bennett is coming back, and I'm gonna pull it up in a second. Give me just 1 second here, but yeah, man, there's some people that we're gonna I'm gonna pull up in just a second here. Let me pull it up real quick. Hold on 1 second. But yeah, man, if you're just joining us, man, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell, and my guy, the Severe Raiders, also going live on his channel as well. So if you guys haven't subscribed to his channel, go over and head over to his channel and subscribe, and like his video as well. I'm gonna pull up. Let me see if I can pull this up in a second. Let me see. Raiders coaching staff. And they've look, guys like Andre Carter was brought on by Antonio Pierce, Ricky Manny Jr. We know, I know who else did we leave out that we know that we can confirm that has been hired. Let's see.
Caldwell.
Yep, Caldwell. How do you feel about Caldwell? I mean, it's kind of like. As a defensive coordinator, they kind of
he's a I guess he's the defensive run coordinator, right, and linebackers coach.
Yeah.
So it seems like we've been filling out the staff on the defensive side of the ball, right? We brought in Ricky Manning Jr. He's a cornerbacks coach. We brought in the guy from Andre Carter, who played for the Raiders for a little while. I want to say he's like the pass rushing coach. We brought in a safety coach already. We got our linebackers coach and our run game coordinator. It's like we have guys on the defensive side of the ball. We're probably keeping. I'm thinking we're keeping Robbie Leonard because he was like our representative at the Senior Bowl. So it's like, other than that, who are we still like? Who else is here?
Mm-hmm.
Like on the offensive side of the ball, rather, right? Edgar Bennett, we're keeping. Kennedy Palomalu's name is still up there, but like I heard we had fired him. We told him to kick rock. So like, is he back?
We might need to bring him back, man. Hey, my bad. Well, how's that conversation gonna look like? Hey, you know what,
bro?
We made a mistake. We'll give you
Kennedy Palomalu gonna be looking at them like Jack Jones look at Champ Kelly, like.
Yeah, man. But look, so we'll probably. Point out like some guys that's probably not going to be part of the staff, but obviously Pierce is the head coach. Lou Getsy's the offensive coordinator. Scott Turner is back as a pass game coordinator. I'm not sure. I know he was interviewing at other spots. I'm not sure if Getsy would bring him on. I don't know if that would be his decision, but you would think that he would have that ability maybe to hire his own offensive staff. You see assistant offensive line coach Cameron Clemens is here, but would he be back under Getsy? Because, at the end of the day, the offense coordinator has his scheme. So you would think that, like, all right, he wants guys under him that can coach under his scheme. So we'll see how that goes. And I thought that was interesting that, though, AP made sure to hire Deshaun Foster before even hiring the offensive coordinator. So that was definitely an AP guy. So,
yeah.
But yeah, like
Deshaun Foster's a beast, man. As a running back coach, Deshaun Foster is a beast.
Yeah, and we know Patrick Graham is coming back. Rob Leonard, we feel like I believe from what we know he's coming back. Yeah. Rob Ryan, we're not 100% sure.
I would assume he would come back though. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't come back. If he was seems like he's a Patrick Graham guy more. Like he seems more like a Patrick Graham guy than like a Patriot guy. Like I don't think the Patriots are looking at Rob Ryan like we got to have him. Like he fits in with the Patriot way. Like so, I think that's more of a Patrick Graham guy.
Yeah, and then you see Jason Simmons, but obviously we found out recently that he for the same position he went to the Commanders, so that's a guy that we lost. Good coach. I like Jason Simmons. I think he did pretty well coaching up the DBs. But he goes to the Commanders for the same position. So that might be a case of maybe AP maybe wanting his own guy back there for whatever reason.
I mean, we got Ricky Manning Jr. Ricky Manning Jr., I think he spent some time with the Jets. And we know how the Jets are as a secondary, so I think that may be either a lateral move, that might be a bit of an upgrade, from going from Jason Simmons to Ricky Manning Jr.
I got a great question for you, Severe. Is Matt Feeney coming back as a defensive quality control coach?
Bro, like I've been racking my brain. Thinking about like if we lose Matt Feeney, bro,
we can't lose Matt Feeney, man. Like the dude,
bro,
his highlight tapes, man, of the other teams, man.
If we lose Matt Feeney, like I don't know, but this defense might fall apart. Defense might fall apart. But what's crazy is that Luke Getsy, I was looking at when you used to show me Luke Getsy. He's got 17 years of coaching experience. The dude's only like 39 years old, bro. Dude's been coaching since like he graduated and just like, know what, I'm gonna be a
Diapers.
coach.
Yeah.
He's only 39, so 17 years of coaching experience at 39 that's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So yeah, man, hey, that is a real thing. For me and Severe, we feel like it is a concern, man. A coaching staff not being filled out. What's taking this long? And maybe that's maybe the risk we're going with a AP who doesn't have an experience being a coach in the NFL. You know, obviously he has experience being a former player, but like if you notice a lot of the candidates that he was interviewing at OC, they all had connections to Tom Coughlin, Marvin Lewis. You know, maybe that's just one of, and this is the thing too. As much as I am all for AP as a head coach, I know that with that type of coach, to be successful, he needs to build a good staff around him.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Patrick Graham is coming back another year, but I want to see some assistants be, some good assistant coaches get hired as well. Edgar Bennett, I like him. He's coming back as well. I think, and I can confirm that as well because AP actually said it in the interview he had recently where he starts naming some former players on his coaching staff, and he named Edgar Bennett as a guy that's going to be coming back. So we know for sure that he's going to come back. My guy Mitch Singler, man, I hope he comes back, man. Like his job is the offensive quality control coach, man.
Mitch Singler, he looks like a Raider. Look at that guy, right? Doesn't that just scream Raider right there, right? Doesn't he just look like a Raider? Yo, man, this is crazy. Now, but one thing we can say is that AP, after you just mentioned it right now, is that AP, he's assembling a staff of guys who were former NFL players. I think that is, that's he wants to have those guys sprinkled throughout his staff. Ricky Manning Jr., former NFL player. Deshaun Foster, though he's not with us anymore as a coach, he's a former NFL player. Edgar Bennett is a former NFL player. Andre Carter, former NFL player. Caldwell is former NFL player. Like a lot of these guys are former NFL players. So I think he wants to build a staff with guys who were in the NFL who can have firsthand knowledge of what it's like to actually play the game, have that intimate understanding of what the players go through on a week in, week out basis, on a day in and day out basis. So I think that's important to him. I think part of his coaching style and how he sees the game is from his time as a player. So I think he values that in the members of his staff. So if we go after a running backs coach, look for it to be a guy that was a former NFL player.
Mm-hmm. And AP seems like he's kind of going after a lot of former NFL players.
That is to Lord what shit is. Yeah, Deshaun Foster. He was the former UCLA running back coach, and then we hired him to be our running backs coach. And then Chip Kelly took a job with Ohio State as an offensive coordinator, which opened up the head coaching job at UCLA, where Deshaun Foster was a running backs coach, assistant head coach, and also he's in the UCLA Hall of Fame as a running back. So they hired him just today as the head coach of the UCLA Bruins football team. So it was a little bit of a whirlwind for him.
Yeah, and Eli W says we need to focus on building a system as opposed to trying to find a needle in a haystack franchise QB. Defense, run, limit mistakes, and you make the playoffs consistently even with an average QB. So I think his thing is probably maybe getting a vet QB in free agency and maybe having them compete with AOC and probably maybe getting a quarterback in the draft, but maybe later in the draft, not as early as what people think. That's the non-sexy way of attacking the quarterback position, which I hear you, but I don't think it's going to happen because I think Mark and everybody that in that front office there, I think they all got quarterback on the mind. Like they're gonna be attacking that. They're gonna attack that position aggressively, and it just sounds like it. I feel like it's going to happen. I feel like they're gonna try to get their guy, whether it's I think it's going to be early in the draft. It's kind of obvious, but anything could happen at the end of the day, man. If if the Raiders miss out on their guys, let's say in top 3, right? Let's see the top 3 guys go off the board. Do you wait at 13 and take the best guy available, or do you kind of get the or do you go get the 4th best quarterback? Do you trade up? Because that's what's probably going to happen. Who's that 4th best quarterback? I know you kind of said Michael Penix is your guy. I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. The injuries scare me. Who I see Michael Penix going to? I see him going to Seattle. I feel like Seattle.
That would be ideal. I mean, so it depends on what your plan is. Me, ideally, Michael Penix, I have him as the 2nd-rated quarterback in this draft. Now, if we were to stay, let's say if we stay at 13, right, and we pick the best offensive, pick the best right tackle, right? I heard an interview with Jermaine Illuminor where Jermaine Illuminor wants to come back to the Raiders. The Raiders want him to come back, but they've also been talking about moving him maybe to guard. I've also heard Andre James isn't going to be back, moving Parham over to center, so we need 2 guards, so maybe we fill one of those spots with Jermaine Illuminor. If we do that, that leaves a spot open at right tackle. Fuaga is one of the best offensive lineman prospect in this draft. He happens to play right tackle. J.C. Latham from Alabama is one of the better offensive lineman prospect in this draft. He happens to play right tackle. So we stay at 13. Maybe we take a right tackle. I like Kenyon Mitchell. That's my favorite corner in this draft. He may not be the highest rated corner, but that's my favorite corner in this draft. His play style, his aggressiveness, his athleticism. That's my favorite corner in the draft. If you want to get another guy opposite of Jack Jones that has that same kind of swagger, the same kind of playmaking ability, Kenyon Mitchell is a guy we can go after. And then if, let's say, we like a guy like J.J. McCarthy, right, or Michael Penix, and we see them starting to fall to the back end of the first round, maybe then we make a move to the back end of the first round. Now, if you want to get a guy like J.J., he needs some development, right? So that's when you would need that vet guy there because J.J.'s young. He has all the tools. He just, he lacks the instincts, lacks the experience. So if you want to mold a guy like that, bring in a guy like Russ, let him play 1 or 2 years, and then unleash JJ later. That way, you can still possibly have a guy that can win you right now, and then have a guy that's ready for the future. Or if Penix is there, Penix is probably the most pro ready. Probably the most. Hey, bro, all eyes on G, bro. You about to get banned up in this piece, bro. You about to be banned up in this piece, bro. Now, right now, man, look, I cannot even lie. Right now, things are not looking good for UCLA, bro. It's on the football field, not looking good. They're one of the best schools, and I think they're rated like the number 1 public university in the world. But on the football field, it is not looking good for us. But I digress. But so if we want to just get a pro-ready quarterback, it'd be Michael Penix. If you want a guy that's developmental and we want to go the route that you like to go, where we sign a veteran and have that rookie guy, maybe we go with J.J. McCarthy late in the first round, trading back into the first round after we pick at 13.
Shout out to Derek Luden with a super chat. He says, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he says, I think Thayer Munford is going to be the starting right tackle. It's possible, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a new offensive coaching staff, so they're going to have to evaluate that position, as well as Tom Telesco. He's a new GM. He's going to lean on Champ Kelly to probably give him some insight on the roster, but at the end of the day, I feel like Tom Telesco has done a pretty good job of building the O-line back, with our hated rivals, the Chargers, but he's done well with drafting that position group in O-line, so he's probably going to have to evaluate that position, but who knows, man? Because I think there's going to be some new players on that line for sure. Whether you could talk about center, you could talk about offensive guard, right tackle. We all know Illuminor was holding down that spot, and then Munford came in and he was starting. So there was always a little bit of fluctuation who was going to start at that position. If you guys remember, in 2022, I don't know why they were doing this, but they literally were switching off.
Yeah,
Mumford and Illuminor, like it was a weird type of deal that they were going with as far as.
So I will say this: I was critical of that at the time, but I did my research, and like there are other teams that are doing that, like multiple teams in the league that they're doing something similar on offensive line. So I mean, it's not unheard of, but it is like, you know, you ideally you have a guy to like down that spot, but there are other teams that they were doing that as well. So at the time, I just thought it was the stupidest thing in the world, but I've seen, you know, like 4 or 5 other teams that they were doing something similar.
And I think they do that when they know that their O-line is kind of, you know, it's they don't have a guy there that can hold down the fort when it's against the pass or the run, because Illuminor as a pass protector is pretty solid. As a run blocker, you know, he's probably not as good as maybe a Thayer Mumford, who's a better run blocker.
Yeah.
And I think what Derek Luton is alluding to, maybe, you know, Thayer Mumford made some strides as a pass protector, but we'll see, man. We'll see what Tom Telesco has to say about that. I mean, he's going to be the guy that's going to be evaluating this roster and making that upgrade at that spot. So I think O-line, man, I think that's going to be a big question mark going into the offseason too, is like how they attack that line, man. Like, do you think they're gonna attack free agency and get like a lineman? It would be smart.
I think it'll be smart. It depends on what they feel about their Munford. It depends on what they want to do with Jermaine Illuminor. Remember, we got Dalton Wagner sitting on IR, was a guy we basically stashed him on IR, kind of develop him for a year. So that's a guy that they had to evaluate him, kind of make a decision on him as well. You know, do we want to? If we put him in and Colton Miller at bookend tackles, we probably have the tallest tackle tandem in the league. I think Dalton Wagner is like 6'8", Colton Miller is like 6'7". So we'd have some monsters at the tackles. So I mean, it all depends on how they evaluate that position, what they want to do with Illuminor, or what they want to do with these younger guys. If they're not fits for our current system, then we could be hitting a reset on that side of the line of scrimmage.
Sean Schefter Johnson always comes through with some breaking news, and I got to confirm. You know, we don't know 100%, but Sean, I trust Sean. He says the Raiders are hiring DeAndre Pierce as an offensive quality control coach, the son of Antonio Pierce. So I haven't seen anything regarding this, but hey, I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm gonna check on this. But Sean Schefter Johnson says that the Raiders are hiring Antonio Pierce's son as the offensive quality control coach. Okay.
All right. That's interesting. I didn't know he had a son that old. That's crazy.
Hey, man. Hey, Sean. Hey, if I find out this is not true, man.
Rajon Rondo. Rajon Johnson.
That's an inside, man. That's an inside,
man.
But black.
Bro, yeah.
Angry.
Hey, man. Antonio Pierce is only 45 years old. I can see it.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's not like it's
possible.
We're not saying that he's hiring his son as offensive coordinator or anything like that, or O-line coach, or some random person at a spot. Like, I think, that quality control, that's like a position where they're pretty much like doing all the dirty work to, like for the assistant coaches, pretty much like getting tape together and putting some tape on some teams and stuff like that. So it's possible. Black and grayed out says, "Do not get Russ." Man, you're not a big Russ guy. Hey, if he's for the cheap, I feel like it's a low risk, high reward move for me. I don't know. I'm looking at it from that perspective. I'm not saying sign Russ to a big contract. No, if it's a cheap contract, yes, you get a veteran player, experience, been in the playoffs, won a Super Bowl, and you add him to the room with AOC, a young quarterback, and then you're going to draft another quarterback early. That's just going to make that team better, that room better. It's just because think about like guys like Jaden Daniels. He's going to be leaning on Russell Wilson, who's like, what do you do at this spot? What do you do when you see this? Like Jaden Daniels, when you get a rookie QB, there's going to be some inexperience. There's going to be some it's going to be some mistakes. There's a reason why like some people are kind of like throwing it out there like, hey, the Raiders draft a young QB. Do you think Devontae Adams comes back? Because he's a guy that's, an aging player, but still probably he's still in his prime. I think he's still a productive player. But you would think at this point in his career, he probably want to play with a veteran QB. But we all reports, all signs say that he's going to stay with the Raiders. But I'm just saying, like, there's a reason why, like, when teams tend to go with a young QB, it's mostly a lot of people assume that, all right, it's going to be a rebuilding type of situation. They're going to have to, like, start over, build this team up. But, it is what it is, man. But look, we got people in the room, man. If you haven't hit that like button, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell. Man, this has been a great show. It's been a great show. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. We actually went a little bit longer than we should. We always say that we try to do an hour. we always hit that hour and a half mark, but today, man, we're approaching that 2 hour mark, man. I'm not gonna lie, like, but we had a lot to talk about, man, because Super Bowl happened, and obviously, it's beginning of the offseason. I mean, in less than a few weeks, or actually, no, would you say what? Probably a month away. Free agency is gonna be a month away. So we're gonna talk about all of that, the top players in the draft. Top players in the draft, and obviously free agency, which is going to be coming up in a month. I would say hopefully we can get Chris Jones, man. Guy put on a show in the Super Bowl. Like, he was getting after it. Man. Chris Jones is going to be the number one target in free agency. I'm not sure if he's going to be coming back to the Chiefs, man.
He about to get paid. He about to get paid.
He's about to get paid.
So, I don't know, man.
Would you want the Raiders to? Because the Raiders do have that ability to pay free agents because they're going to have a quarterback on a rookie deal. But would you pay all that money that Chris Jones is probably going to get in the open market?
I think that's tough. I think we have, if we have a rookie quarterback, that gives us the ability to do that. That's kind of what the 49ers are doing with Nick Bosa and Hargraves, where they got two very expensive. Hargraves is making like 30. So I think that, that if we could imagine a line with Max Crosby and Chris Jones, imagine that would be insane. So I think, we make that investment. Oh yeah. Facts, D-Most. Look, we trade up, bro. We bring it, bro. We might call it Rodney Hudson, and it's like, bro, can you play on the minimum?
No, that's a great point. No, for real. We laughing about this, but it's like it's a funny way of laughing at the truth, basically.
No, facts.
Because if they're gonna be like trading away all their assets, like, they're gonna have to use whatever they got to improve this roster. So, Luminor might come back, James, or it might be some other players in free agency that they might bring. But man, we got some people. We got some people that want to show some love before we head out, man. And we gonna make sure to. My guy, Raph, with the super chat, man. Appreciate you, my guy. He says, salute to the nation, folks. Respect, great show. Hey, appreciate you, Raph, for coming through and showing some respect, man. If you haven't subscribed, go over and subscribe to my guy, Raph, man. Guys, another Raider content creator out here. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. Appreciate the super chat. And then we got Derek Luden with another super chat. He says Chiefs have $22 million in cap. He's a goner. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. I think there was an issue. Remember, I think to start the season, I think he missed some games, or at least the early part of training camp or something like that. He missed some time because of his contract. So he's definitely on his way out for sure. Yeah. But yeah, man. Hey, we appreciate the super chat. We appreciate the support. Like I said earlier, man, make sure to hit the like button. We're going live on both the channels. So if you haven't subscribed to my guy, the Severe Raider, make sure to head over his channel and subscribe, like his video, as well as mine. Any last thoughts? Any last thoughts for the people?
Yeah, man. If we did bring on DeAndre Pierce, man, what is my guy Mitch Singler going to do, man? My guy Mitch Singler. I'm worried about Mitch Singler right now, man.
Singler is sweating bullets right now. He's sweating bullets.
Mitch Singler is calling up Cliff Kingsbury right now, like, yo, bro. Man. But yeah, man, this is probably the worst Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls, man. It was terrible. It was in our house, man. I hate it, but hopefully this is motivation. I think just hearing Antonio Pierce talk, he's not gonna let this go unpunished, man. So I think we about to put the league on notice next year.
Yeah, facts, man. Hey, man. Hey, it's gonna be an exciting offseason. I'm excited for the offseason because it's gonna be some big changes. We got some money. We're gonna be talking about free agency and future shows, the draft. That quarterback position is going to be upgraded. I have a feeling it's going to be upgraded. We've seen the reports. We see everything aligning. Some people are kind of saying like, hey, like Raiders should just focus on other needs. But now a big need is that quarterback position. We've seen the Super Bowl, how big that position is. We got to face the Chiefs twice a year with Mahomes, and we gotta upgrade that position, man. But we appreciate everybody coming through. Like I said, hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe.
Get down in the comment section.
Yes, hey, and another thing too. Yes, like Severe said, we weren't able to get to everybody's, message in the chat. Well, we appreciate the support. We appreciate the message. Just go ahead and place it in the comment section. I reply to all my comments. I know my guy Severe does as well. We want to hear your thoughts.
I reply to both of mine that I get every video. So both of mine.
My guy Severe. My guy Severe, man, he's on fire today, man. He's on fire. But yeah, man. Hey, look, we'll reply to the comments because we want to hear from y'all, man. At the end of the day, man, we want to hear from other people's perspectives because it improves ours. So just make sure to leave a comment down below. But yeah, man. Until next time, we'll be here next Monday. Peace.
Justin Fields still sucks.
Yeah.
Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Believe that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.